Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Laura and I'm an attorney working for a court of law in Switzerland, and in this video I'm gonna let you know if and when you can get Swiss citizenship, meaning what the requirements are. Let's get to it. Most of the information about getting Swiss citizenship can be found in the Federal Act on Swiss Citizenship. There is an English version of it and I will leave you a link to it in the video description below in case you want to have a look at it yourself. Now let's answer the question of whether or not you can obtain Swiss citizenship by birth. Unlike in other countries like the United States, for example, you or your children will not obtain Swiss citizenship solely based on the fact that they were born in Switzerland. Instead, a child's nationality or its residence status here depends on that of its parents. Regarding citizenship, that means that a child who is born in Switzerland who has a Swiss mother or a Swiss father will obtain Swiss citizenship too. The same is the case if a child under 18 years old is adopted by a Swiss parent. But what happens if a child with a Swiss parent is born abroad? In this case, it is very important to notify a Swiss authority about the child's birth before it turns 25 years old. Otherwise, the child will forfeit its right to the Swiss citizenship if it has another nationality. Moving on now, let's look at what the requirements are for an ordinary naturalization in Switzerland if you are not born here. In this case, the law requires that you must hold a permanent residence permit, meaning a C settlement permit, when you apply for the Swiss citizenship. In addition to that, for becoming Swiss, you must prove that you have been a resident in Switzerland for at least 10 years. Out of these 10 years, you must have spent at least 3 years out of the 5 years prior to your application for citizenship in Switzerland. So becoming Swiss requires a residence in Switzerland for a total of 10 years and 3 years out of the last 5 years before your application. However, there is an important point to mention here. When it comes to calculating the length of your stay or of your children's stay in Switzerland, the period between the ages of 8 and 18 count double. But even if these years count double, a residence of at least 6 years is the minimum. There is one exception though that allows you to become Swiss faster, and that is if you're married to a Swiss. In this case, you can apply for Swiss citizenship if you have lived in marital union with your Swiss spouse for at least 3 years. Having lived in marital union means that you were actually in a married relationship with only your spouse for 3 years without a separation. In addition to that, you must have had residence in Switzerland for at least 5 years instead of the ordinary 10 years that we talked about before when you apply for the citizenship. And just for the record, simply getting married on paper to someone without being or living in an actual relationship is A, not allowed by the law, and B, never works out in my experience. This behavior would also lead to a bunch of not very nice legal consequences, including up to 3 years of prison. So my best advice here is just don't do it. But let me know in the comments if you would like to see a video on that particular topic. Back to the topic of being married to a Swiss. What is the legal situation if you are married to a Swiss, but you are both living abroad? In this case, you can also become Swiss if you prove that you have lived in marital union with your Swiss spouse for at least 6 years. In addition to that, you will also have to prove that you have close ties to Switzerland if you are living abroad. And this brings me to the next point. No matter when, meaning after how many years you apply for Swiss citizenship or why you do it, you will always have to prove that you are successfully or well integrated. When it comes to evaluating whether you are well integrated or not, some of the main criteria to look at are the following: respect for public security and order, the ability to communicate in a national language in everyday situations, both in writing and orally, and the participation in economic life or in acquiring education here. Showing respect for the public security and order means that you cannot commit crimes or violate the law here, which seems pretty normal. But in addition to that, even though the Federal Act on Swiss citizenship does not explicitly state that, having a significant amount of debt or having debt enforcement pending, as well as receiving social welfare, will also lead to you not obtaining Swiss citizenship. When it comes to being able to communicate in a national language here, there are standardized tests that you will have to take to assess whether your language skills are good enough to obtain Swiss citizenship or not. The European Reference Framework divides language skills into the following levels: A1, A2, B1, B2, C1 and C2. And out of these levels, A1 is the level for total beginners and C2 is an almost professional level. For obtaining Swiss citizenship, you will have to prove that your language skills are at least an A2 in writing and a B1 in speaking. And just one more note here, although there are 4 national languages in Switzerland, you will have to take the test in the language of your place of residence. That means that, for example, you cannot take the test in French if you live in Zurich, because Zurich is in the German, or more precise, in the Swiss German-speaking part of Switzerland. Another important aspect to consider when assessing whether or not you can obtain Swiss citizenship is if you participate in economic life or if you acquire an education in Switzerland. This so-called economical integration is an important aspect when it comes to assessing a person's integration in general. Because after all, if you're working, you're also contributing to the social security system and you prove that you can financially support yourself. With this being said, we're slowly getting to the end of today's video, but I would like to refer you to another video of mine, which explains why getting Swiss citizenship before the age of 37 can be really expensive for men. You will find a link to this video at the end of this one. And as always, if you have any more questions about this video or about obtaining Swiss citizenship, leave them in the comment section down below and I will get back to you. Also, feel free to give this video a thumbs up or to share it if you liked it or if you found the information in it helpful. Subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss any videos in the future. And finally, thank you guys so much for watching and I hope to be talking to you again soon.